Fantastic. We are on the dot again, Larry. I am so excited. We're on time. We're here. We're ready. I'm going to get closer to my microphone. And we'll give a second for people to log on and join us because they were awesome yesterday to show up and participate and show out. What was your favorite part about yesterday as we're waiting for a few people to join us?
I think my favorite part of this whole process is the engagement. I love it when we see the comments in the group, and it gives us an opportunity to get to know people more one-on-one and kind of establish that relationship that we're after. That makes me feel great inside, and it gives us that opportunity to give live specific feedback over the topics that we covered in last night's episode. So I think it's great. The engagement is by far my favorite part.
Fantastic. I'm making sure that it's showing up. I don't see it. So if you're out there and you know me, shoot me a text. AT Live. Okay, we're up.
Awesome.
So really quick, I'm just going to give us a recap of what we covered today, because today we kind of dropped some bombs on you yesterday, a lot of information, great interaction, but we promised, and we're going to keep our promise, to talk about equipment, software. How do you upload a podcast? Where do you upload a podcast? We're going to cover that today, along with techniques and preparing to record. What are some things, Larry, that we can do to get our area, our space ready to record so that we have great sound? We're going to talk about format, branding, and of course, we're always going to talk about branding because that's the whole reason that we're in business, and we want to take our podcast and reach a certain audience. So even if you are doing this as a ministry or a mission, you're still branding yourself. And so I don't want to, did it stutter? Sorry, I got a lag there.
Yeah, just a little lag. No big deal. Keep going. We're doing great.
Okay. But we're always branding ourselves. So I'm going to turn it over to you to kick us off on day 2 of Podcasting 101.
Cool deal. Thank you so much for setting me up so beautifully. So yesterday we had a lot of great information that we came to the table with, but it was a high-level overview. And many of you were going, okay, what exactly do I need to get started? What equipment do I need to invest in to create my podcast? And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to get into specifics. We're going to talk microphones. We're going to talk recording devices. We're going to talk software. Where are you going to record your podcast? What's it going to look like? We're going to cover all of that in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So first thing I want to talk about, man, right out of the gate, and you probably see one sitting here in view of my screen, is the microphone. Now, the microphone that I recommend for starting out with your podcast isn't necessarily the mic that I'm using now, but it is this mic right here. It looks just like any other mic it's a traditional looking mic. It's got that normal mic looking form factor to it. But the cool thing about this mic is that you can start recording on it right away. It has certain flexibility in the bottom that will allow you to connect via XLR, which is the typical microphone extension that we've always seen in microphones, but it also has that nice little USB connection there. So you can literally plug this directly into your computer or your laptop or your recording device and instantly start recording. This mic sounds great. It's very, very affordable. And it just feels good in the hand. It also comes with a stand, but I would recommend you getting a boom arm of sorts, or even a desktop mount. That's fine. But the boom arm gives you a little more flexibility to move the mic wherever you want it. So this mic right here is the Audio-Technica ATR 2100X. So this is the ATR 2100X. It's going to run you about $65 to $70 on Amazon. And I tell you what, this thing, it's tremendous, because even as you progress through your podcasting journey and you start to evolve in some of the techniques that you're using to record the podcast, this mic can be with you every step of the way. It's designed so that it doesn't pick up a ton of room noise, and it strictly focuses on your voice. So the capsule is right in front there. You know exactly where to speak into the microphone, and it picks you up beautifully each and every time. So I highly recommend this Audio Technica ATR 2100. Now, another mic that is very, very similar to this one, looks almost exactly like it, but it generally comes in more of a brownish bronze. It's a little darker. It's a different brand, exact same functionality, has the XLR input, has the USB input, and it is a Samsun, that's S-A-M-S-U-N, Samsun Q2U. It's a Q2U. And I tell you, I honestly, for my voice, I like the Samsun even better than the ATR. And you might be asking, well, Larry, why don't you have a Samsun in your hand instead of the ATR? Well, I bought a handful of these back in the day, and it's been with me over the last 6-7 years since I've been podcasting. This is still one of my original mics. So that's why I have this. Didn't need to invest in the Q2U, but I have used it before. And it, again, same functionality, works the exact same way. And guess what? The Q2U is going to save you about $15 if you go with that mic. So you can usually pick that one up for around $50 on Amazon, and it is a tremendous microphone. So either one of these is a great, great way to get started on your podcasting journey. Now, of course, there are other options out there. You can go with something, you go, yeah, but I want to use the mics that I see like Joe Rogan using and whatnot. And well, I have to admit, that's exactly what this is here as well. This is a Shure SM7B. Now, this is on the opposite end of the microphone spectrum. This is a high-end mic, and it's going to take a little more of an investment on your part in order to pick up this mic. And I would really consider getting your podcasting going and establishing your podcast before you go dropping a lot of cash on equipment, because it can get you quick. Just ask my wife. So she's always hollered at me for spending too much on gear. But that's what I love to do. So anyways, again, vast just spectrum there of microphones, but the Q2U or the ATR 2100, you cannot go wrong. So next up, how are you going to record the podcast? Where are you going to record it? Are you going to record it on a laptop? Are you going to record it on your desktop? Or do you need some sort of what they call an interface to record to? Now, typically, we're just going to record directly into our laptop, maybe even directly into our phones. And we can do that as well using one of the mics that I mentioned, or they make mics that are specifically for our mobile devices, depending on whether or not you're with an iPhone or an Android device. But if you don't want to record into your laptop, or if you don't want to record into your desktop, maybe you record mobily. Maybe you're on the move. Maybe you're on location, podcasting about the latest happenings in your niche. Something like this would do you a lot of good. This is a Zoom, not to be confused with the Zoom session that we're on right now, but it's a totally different company. This is the H4n, and this is a great little mobile device, very sturdily built. It's rubberized on the outside, so if you drop it, it's got some protection built in. You can use an XLR mic, or you can also use, on the bottom here, you see it has connections for 2 separate XLR connections as well. So you could actually load up 2 different microphones on this particular device. And having different microphones can lead you into some recording challenges if you're not set up properly. One of the things that you want to do whenever you're recording your podcast is, if you have a microphone and someone else has a microphone as well, is you want to make sure that each of those microphones are being recorded separately, meaning the audio is not being merged into one particular track. So if you've ever seen audio, I don't know that anybody here has ever seen a WAV file or what audio looks like, but I'm sure we've seen images or pictures or posters or whatever. Those are called WAV files. And we want a WAV file for each individual element or voice or music or whatever it may be as we record our podcast. This makes it very, very easy to edit the podcast. If you have everybody's voice and all of your music and all of your sound effects and everything that's included in one track, it makes it very, very difficult to edit, almost sometimes impossible. So it's almost like record and post. It's just right there. You don't have room for some of those necessary edits that we like to do from time to time. So kind of keep that in mind. The H4n allows you to have 2 separate tracks when you record your audio. So that's really, really convenient as well. Now, when you're recording into a laptop or when you're recording into your desktop machine, you're going to have software that you use, and that software is going to vary. There are a number of different options that are out there, and guess what? They're all great. They're all tremendous for what they do. One of the ones that I recommend that will also allow for you to set up those separate tracks, like I mentioned, and it's totally free. It's called Audacity. You can go right now, Google Audacity. You can download it. It's totally free, fully functional. It is a tremendous piece of software that has a ton of versatility built right into it. And that's going to allow you to record directly into that piece of software and then output your file into what is called an MP3 file. I'm sure we're all familiar with the term of an MP3 file. Well, when we output our podcast or when we export our podcast, we want to export those to an MP3. And Audacity is a perfect piece of premium free software that's available to everybody. It's available on Mac and it's available on PC. So a tremendous opportunity there to take advantage of that and kind of get your feet wet. You know, some people look at Audacity as the beginner software. I'll tell you what, I still use it to this day. Now, I'm not an audio engineer by any means. I'm a podcaster, right? So being an audio engineer, I may want something that's a little more advanced. I may want something that's got a few more bells and whistles and features and benefits. And if that's the way you want to go, there's other options as well. On the PC, if you wanted to get a nice advanced DAW, which is what they call a digital audio workstation, that's what all of these pieces of software referred to in the audio space is a DAW. So if you're talking podcasting and someone goes, so what DAW are you using? You'll know exactly what they mean. They mean, are you using Audacity? Are you using, for instance, more advanced, if you're on a Mac, are you using Pro Tools? That's another software option for you. But again, now that's not free. That's a very premium piece of software, and they're very proud of it. But but it's a tremendous tool. Super, super powerful. Will do a ton of things that, guess what, you'll never use. As a podcaster, you'll never use 95 to 98% of all the functions and features in that piece of software. So although it's overkill, some people enjoy using it. On the PC side, you can also use Audition. Adobe puts together their Creative Suite, and in their Creative Suite, they have Audition. That is the DAW of choice most of the time for PC users. So if that's the direction you want to go, it's also a premium product that's going to set you back a pretty penny per month. But it's definitely a very, very robust piece of equipment there. So you can definitely look at that. You know, Karen, you brought up something just a little while ago that a lot of people tend to overlook. And it shows when you listen to their podcast. And that's the recording environment. So we really have to step back and we really have to ask ourselves, where are we going to be recording our podcast? And do we want the ambient noise that surrounds us in this environment to be a part of our podcast? You know, I'm sitting here in a room in my house that I've treated extensively for podcasting. So I've got one wall over here that has all of the acoustic foam. I have acoustic foam on the back of the door, and then I've surrounded the other three walls with heavy, heavy stage curtains. So I've gone to great lengths to treat my room so that it is very sound effective. Now, if you don't want to take that time and invest that money in there, because it is a significant investment to treat your room to the extent that I've done it, there are other options that are out there. Just treating your room mildly, just a little bit of sound absorption, is going to take you to the next level with your audio production. Now, if you don't want to invest in any sort of room treatment right out of the gate, there's other options as well. You can record in your closet. You'd be surprised how many people actually record their podcast in a closet because the clothes that are hanging there make excellent sound absorbers. Not only do they absorb your voice from bouncing off of the walls and reverberating back into your microphone, but they tend to absorb sound coming into the closet as well. So it's a tremendous place for you to record your podcast in a very, very isolated, very, very quiet environment. So consider that. You know, there's also some cost-effective ways that you can treat rooms. I've seen people take canvases and actually cut the canvas away and lay bath towels inside the frame of the canvas, then cover it in a bath towel. So you can build room treatments and sound absorbing panels for like $10 a pop. So that's a very, very cost effective way to kind of do it yourself and create sound absorption. And believe it or not, those bath towel canvases that I mentioned, they actually tested better when tested side by side with acoustic foam. So it's a tremendous resource and a fun little do-it-yourself. You can turn it into a crafts time, maybe get the kids involved. Come help me build these acoustic panels for my studio. It's a great time, very cost-effective, and it'll do you a really, really good job helping take all that ambient noise out of your recordings. So at this point, I would like to go ahead and move into talking about formatting your podcast, but I want to make sure that we answer any questions that you have in regards to any of the equipment that you might want to bring to the table. So if you have any questions, please right now, jump down in the chat, type that question out. And although we may not get to it right now in this hour, I will definitely follow up and I'll review all the questions that are there and I'll get back with you as well. So you can do it there or you can reach out to me directly. Either way, I would love to work with you. So let's go ahead and move forward and let's talk about how we're going to structure our podcast. There are so many different ways that we can structure a podcast. We can do it as a solo cast, which, believe it or not, is a little challenging. It took me a long time to overcome that I don't know, fear of just sitting there and talking into a microphone. Even though I was in a different room, I just knew my wife had her ear against the wall. I knew she was listening in and go, what is he talking to himself about now?
I totally agree. I totally agree. The walls are judging me. Somebody's listening, right?
Every time.
So how did you overcome that? Because I want to jump in right here because I think this is really big for those that aren't considering a guest yet. They're just starting out with a solo format. How do you really, because I have a mindset trick, but I'd like to hear, how did you overcome that?
By consistently doing it, by consistently showing up and continuing to do it. And also making sure that I'm talking about something that I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I don't try to tackle a topic where I'm not too confident in what I'm going to say, nor a topic where I don't really know what direction I'm going to take it. So you can easily find yourself just staring at that mic and kind of rambling, and in your head you're going, this doesn't even make sense. You got to have that confidence factor. And the only way that I've seen to get it, I would love to know your mindset trick, Karen, but the only way that I was able to overcome it is to simply show up, do it time and time again. And now it's to the point where I don't care if she's listening or not. If I'm in here by myself or if I'm on a podcast, he's in there talking again. Nobody knows what he's saying, but I'm going at it, and I'm going at it with fervor. I'm getting it every time that I'm on the microphone.
You are committed. You may be crazy, but you are committed.
There you go.
I love it. Yeah. So my mind trick is a mind trick hack, I guess. I use it on stage too. So I just imagine that I'm talking to one person. So whoever that topic is for, I just imagine that they're listening on this other side, like I'm on a phone, right? They're hearing me, but I can't see them. And I just literally look at the camera and I'm talking to her, to that woman, to that man, whoever it is that this message is for. I am literally willing this message to them. I am sending it out with all of my energy. So if I have a group and I know that the group is listening, like right now, I can see who's on the chat. I know who's in the group. A lot of these messages in my head, I just imagine that I'm talking to Cheryl Gardner or Jackie Linder, because I know she's on there and I know some questions that they've asked, and I just speak directly to that person. And it just makes me feel less crazy. It makes me feel like they're here with me, like there's a purpose to this, and there's an end to the crazy means that I'm trying to accomplish.
No, I love that. And I wish I had channeled that technique when I was getting started, because I was literally just looking into the void. And, sometimes I'd get on Zoom and just talk to myself just so that there was a face there, because so many times it's easier to see a face. And now I have heard of people taking images, like, especially when you're using a camera, like right now, I tend to want to look up and see who I'm talking to. and my monitor is raised up really high. So I end up looking up, and you can see that I'm not looking at the camera, but some people will take and they'll put a little face on their camera so they know exactly where to look. Me personally, I'm sitting here staring at the Canon logo right now. So I stay focused and I look at my camera. But you can do the same thing when you're doing a podcast and you're wanting to talk to somebody. Put a picture of your spouse up. Do whatever it takes to get your focus on talking to someone and not necessarily talking at a microphone. And that'll make all the difference in the world.
Watching my own videos, I know that I notice my eyes roam because I'm over here looking at the computer and I'm looking at you as the guest. And then I look up, oh yeah, the camera's here. So this is where the eyeballs are. So it's something I'm still trying to hone and practice, but that's such good information. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to put a little picture right up there. Like, I don't know, maybe a Furby or something cute that will make me happy.
There you go. There you go. Something that'll make you happy, something that will help you relax. So if you are recording that solo podcast, you can find a little comfort in looking at your snuffleupagus. Big Bird had snuffleupagus to keep him company. So we'll get our little snuffleupagus, put it up there, and we'll talk our way through our podcast. So don't be afraid of a solo podcast. They're tremendous branding opportunities, and they are just spectacular for keeping you as the focus of the podcast. So I know many of you have talked about starting a podcast to share your stories. And sharing your stories, the best way to do that is on a solo podcast because they can be specifically your stories. So find ways, get techniques involved, and just get those reps in. Get those reps, get that muscle memory in place, and just jump on that mic and let it out and have fun doing it.
Absolutely. I love it. Such good advice, Larry. And Josh Carey showed up and he's giving you some love and some shout outs in the chat. So, hey, Josh. Thanks.
My man, Josh Carey. Thanks, man. Appreciate you showing up, Josh. I love you, brother. Next up, we were talking about different formats. So we've talked about the solo episode. We also have the interview type podcast, which is extremely popular. A lot of people have their podcasts and their interview podcasts. Some people do interview podcasts by default. They just think, oh, that's what I've heard, so that's what I have to do. Now, in no way do you have to do an interview podcast, but again, they are very, very popular. So if you're wanting to highlight others and you're wanting to highlight themes and topics, then man, you can't go wrong with an interview podcast. But one of the things that you need to work on are your interview techniques. There's going to be different types of interviews that you're going to have over the course of your podcasting journey. And it's going to require you to have a certain level of control over the interview. So you as the podcast host, you have to be able to kind of steer that conversation and make sure you don't kind of get off the rails and go crazy and start talking about snuffleupaguses while you're doing your interview podcast.
We would never do that.
Never, ever. It would never happen. So I highly recommend that you do a little research on how to conduct an interview. I made the mistake as a brand new podcaster trying to get my feet wet and trying to find my way in the podcasting game by looking at someone that has a podcast and they've got hundreds of episodes, very successful podcaster. They ask the same questions every show to every guest. And I thought, man, if that works for this podcaster, guess what? That comparanoia is kicking in. I'm going to do that too. I'm going to compare myself to this person, and it's working for them.
Paranoia, no.
It gets us every time, Karen. It gets us every time. So I did the exact same thing. I literally copied his questions. Okay, I might have put a little tweak here or there to put a little Larry spin on it, but I copied the questions. I copied the format, and I tried that with my guests. And guess what? I failed miserably. It was horrible. I hated every interview. I sounded very regimented and structured and lost every interview. There was no personality. There was no engagement between me and the person that I'm interviewing. It was almost like a job interview. It was, who wants to listen to that? Yeah. It works for that podcaster. He does it and he does it well. But now for me, it wasn't my vibe at all. I do an interview podcast, but I make sure that I keep me in the conversation. And that's a mistake that I want you to keep in mind as well. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. It's your podcast. It's your unique personal podcast brand. You're the reason people keep coming back. Granted, they love your guests, and a guest may give you a little boost here and there. But in all, the essence of it is people come back to your show for you. So be sure that if you're having an interview podcast, you round out your interviewing skills, you keep you at the forefront, and you tell your stories intermingled in while you're doing the interview. So that's going to take a little bit of practice, and you know how you do it? It's repetition. Same thing as the solo podcast. Anytime we create, it doesn't matter what we're creating. If we're creating a podcast, if we're creating a vodcast or a video cast, if we're creating artwork, how do we improve? You do it.
Absolutely.
You do it each and every time. You know, how many free throws do professional basketball players practice over and over and over again? That's how we get good. It's that repetition and it's that practice. And I highly recommend that you jump right in and you start interviewing and you start practicing right away. And guess what? Episode 100 is going to sound phenomenal. Episode 10 is going to sound good. Episode 1, after you do 100, you're going to look back and go, that was a little rough. And that's good. You know why? Because that means you've grown. And that's going to happen. But there's no way to leapfrog that growth process. We all have to go through it. We all have to learn by doing. We have to get them reps in. And then we can look back and smile and go, that's where I came from. And look where I'm at today. So highly recommend you do a little time, do a little homework, look into interviewing. Now, how are we going to structure this? Whether we have a solo podcast or whether we have an interview podcast, there's a couple of ways that we can do this. We can do it from an episodic perspective, meaning we just record episodes every week or every timeline that we decide on. You know, we had a question in the group yesterday, as a matter of fact, that said, is twice a month enough for me to record my podcast? And I got to tell you, that's perfectly fine. You know, frequency isn't nearly as important as consistency. Consistently showing up. Once you set that expectation with your audience, whether that's once a day, whether that's once a week, once a month even, if they know that podcast is dropping on a certain day at a certain time, they can be ready and they know exactly when to listen. So again, frequency isn't as critical as consistency. But whether or not you do that, you can do it, as I was mentioning, episodically, meaning that you do each and every episode and they don't necessarily tie to one another. Meaning somebody could jump in on episode 50 and they'd be just as caught up and they'd be just as current with your content as if they jumped into episode 2. But then there's also a serial perspective. You can record your podcast as a serial, meaning each and every episode builds on each other. Meaning that if I jumped in at episode 12, you may have said something back in episode 6 that I needed to know to be able to be involved in the conversation at episode 12. So that's a decision that you have to make when you're structuring your show as well. And it's also something that you need to communicate to your listeners. So that's 4 different ways that we can go about structuring our show. Again, we have solo, we have interview, we have episodic, and then we have serial. So all of those 4 things need to be taken into consideration when we're doing what? When we're planning our podcast, when we're in that planning phase like we are right now. So those are some of the questions that you're going to want to ask and some of the decisions you're going to want to make before you move forward. Now, once you record your podcast, how does it get out to the masses? How do people find my podcast? How do I get on Apple Podcasts? How do I get on Google Podcasts or Spotify or all these tremendous platforms where we find our podcasts?
That is literally the question of the week, Larry.
Look at that. Look at that. I knew it.
How did you know? You are.
I read all the posts in the group. I knew exactly what people were looking for. I did my homework. So the way you do that is you have to have what is called a media host. And there are a number of media hosts out there. The one that we're talking about specifically for the purposes of this group is Anchor. And you can go to Anchor and you can find it, anchor.fm. That's the website. And you can upload all of the media that you've recorded using your equipment, using your software, and exporting to the MP3. And you can upload that MP3 to your media host or to Anchor and then leave all the distribution to them. They do it for you. They go ahead and they create that RSS feed. If you remember, I mentioned that yesterday. They create that really simple syndication. It's just a URL. Looks like any other web address, but it's got some other functionality built in. They create that for you, and then they pass it off to all of the different distribution platforms. So all you have to do is upload, give it a title, give it a name, give it a description, and off you go. You're off to the races. Karen, did you want to share more about Anchor and kind of show them how it works?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned early on, my podcast is called The Rock Movers, and I am hosting it on Anchor. So, Larry, tell me, can you guys see my screen?
We can, or I can. Hopefully everybody else can. I saw some cheesy looking dude there in a red hat. I don't know who that was, but
He's creeping on us, Larry. Okay, so this is anchor.fm. This is my dashboard for my website. When we talk about cover art, this is what we're referring to. So this is my cover art for my Rock Movers podcast. If I wanted to create a new episode, this is where I go. I click here, and it literally, you can record your episode here. You can file, this is your library. These are songs, music you can choose. You can add little jingles and sounds for transitions. And then you save it, and then you can upload it to your site. Super simple, super easy. If I have it recorded on my computer, I'm going to click here and pull that, upload that file into Anchor. So it's super simple. I'm going to take you back here. It'll take just a second, but I'm going to show you, here we go. The RSS feed that Larry was just mentioning, this is it. So this is my distribution RSS feed. If I needed that, I could copy that right here. But this is going to tell you all the platforms that my podcast is available on. And I didn't do anything. Anchor and Spotify did all of this for me to get me on Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and then, of course, Spotify, because Anchor is owned by Spotify. So I hope that gives you a little bit of clarity. I can go in and reset my settings. I can actually earn money by allowing Anchor to be a sponsor or bringing on other sponsors. And so this is how I can see my episodes. So it's just super, super simple to do this, to get started. Once you get going, you may want to, and you can, move your podcast, your name, all of your feed over to another platform like Libsyn, which would be another one, or Libsyn. Sorry, I said Libsyn, like lip sync. Libsyn, so that you can have a little more control over it and a little more flexibility. But Anchor's a great place to get started. It is free. I've actually earned money on it, so it hasn't cost me a dime to be on it. So it's a great place to get your feet wet, get started, and it is super, super simple. So yeah, I hope that was helpful to get an inside view. As I mentioned earlier, my podcast kind of stalled out when my coaching business got crazy. But thanks to our good friend Larry here, I am kicking myself in the tail and getting back on the podcast wagon because I forgot how much I loved it. Once you get going, it's an addiction. Podcasting is an addiction, a great addiction because you are connecting with people in a new way. So I love it. I love it. And thanks to podcasting, I got to meet Larry and some amazing friends. So I wouldn't trade it for the world. Okay, so we talked about a few things, got some great comments in here, but part of the branding and the things that we showed you, the cover art, choosing the music and all of that, that goes back to your unique brand. And we'd like to talk about why that's so important. And it's because when you get out there in the podcasting world or the video world, doing whatever it is you choose to do, you want to be able to stand out authentically. You want to be able to have some confidence and a level of speaking from experience and your expertise so that you're bringing something that's truly powerful that you can, if you had a guest on, you can talk to. If you're a guest on another show, you can talk about it because it comes from a place of your personal knowledge. So once you establish that and you're creating that and you build your brand around that, all of that just leads to more and more positivity. So the cover art, as you saw with the rocks on there, my rock mover name, we talked a little bit about that yesterday and how that's a little bit ambiguous, but it means something to me. And so I put rocks on my cover art. I put my picture on there because I wanted them to be able to associate me with this label, this brand. And so that part was really, really important as well. Again, I chose the colors. The font red represents me. The music is super happy. So you have to choose these and then be consistent. You don't want to change music every time because you want them to be able to hear a song or hear a sound and associate it with your format, your podcast show. So all of that's really, really important to choose. So give it some thought. Don't just willy-nilly flip around. As Larry has said, and we've said both, consistency is key. It's them being able to count on you showing up as you every single time. They just know, like, when you hear the Netflix, the da-dum, like, that's Netflix. What is it? The NBC ding, ding, ding. Had that conversation with Rachel the other day.
Yep.
There's just certain things you hear and you recognize that sound. So it needs to be the same with your podcast. Mine automatically started playing the other day in the background. I was like, wait, that's my song. Like, do, 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 do. Like, I just knew it. Like, why is my podcast playing? I had my YouTube pulled up and it automatically started on my podcast. So because I record my podcast in video and audio format, and then I upload a copy of it to my YouTube channel. So my podcast show was on there. So not sure how that played, but it was just a reminder that I need to get back there. That was the universe telling me and sending me a sign. We're calling you from the great beyond. So the intros and outros. An intro is that introduction at the very beginning of your podcast. And you can do it yourself. You can do your own introduction, say, this is what my podcast is about. Welcome to the Rock Movers. This is Karen Gray, a rock mover, somebody who's moving challenges for themselves and for others. Or you could have someone like the amazing Larry Roberts come on and do your podcast introduction for you. So there are people that do that. We have some great resources that will be available later on in our mastermind. And in the mastermind group, you actually get a professional intro and outro from the one and only Larry Roberts. So we just want to let you know that this is really important because it sets you apart. If someone else is introducing you, there's a different feeling than you introducing yourself. Because it's that big. Think of you as a speaker on the stage and you're going to be the keynote speaker. You don't walk out and introduce yourself. Someone introduces you and then you make your appearance. Same presence on your podcast. So that's why it's so very important that you have the right voice, the right presence, the right tone and energy to just set you up for the energy you're going to bring on your show. So just give a little bit of thought to that. You can do it yourself. Absolutely start there. That's where I started, but you don't have to stay there. Always have a plan to grow and build and a goal where you want to take your podcast to. Let's see. I think I talked about that. Music. As you saw on the Anchor website, you can use their music. There's some really fun hip music. If you don't do that, Larry and I have talked about there are some amazing resources out there, and I'm going to hand it over and refer this over to Larry because he's got some great resources for us for music and why it's so important to choose the right music so your podcast doesn't get shut down.
That's a very, very common question. What if I just use this little clip from this one song? Can I do that? And the answer is emphatically no. No, you can't do that because there's trademarks and there's copyrights to that music. So if you go and try to use that and you put it on YouTube or even if you put it on some of the other platforms, they're going to yank it down because you don't have the rights to use that particular song. So when you're looking for music for your podcast, the key here is that you're looking for royalty-free royalty free, not just free, but royalty free music that you can use however you want to use for your podcast. Now, there's a couple of different resources for this. Now, you can also buy music. And one of the things that I like to do, one of the resources that I use regularly, it's called Audio Jungle. And I know it's kind of a cheesy name, but it's an offshoot from their parent company Envato, Envato. But Audio Jungle has a ton of music that's on there. Now, here's the kicker. It's not free. You have to buy the license for the song, but the songs start at like $5. So I think the most I've ever paid was $50 for a song for a project that I was working on. But there is a ton of awesome music, original music for $20 or less on there. So tremendous resource. Check out Audio Jungle. It's awesome. Now, you're going, Larry, I don't want to invest any money in any of my music. That's cool. There are some free resources out there as well. One of my favorites is the YouTube Audio Library. So you can Google YouTube Audio Library, get that URL, and man, it's a library. There are so many different songs in so many different genres set to so many different moods. I mean, there is a ton of stuff there. And you'll find a song that will fit your show. I've used the audio library more than once in projects that I've worked on, and there's really some high quality music there. Now, a relatively new discovery on my part that I love as well, also totally free, is Pixabay Music. I've used Pixabay for years for royalty-free images, for stock photography. But I didn't realize until recently they also had a music arm to the website. So Pixabay, that's Pixabay, Pixabay Music, tons and tons of great free music right there at your fingertips. You can go peruse their repository of songs and download any one that you see fit and use it in your projects. Now, something I do want to make you aware of, though, because even on some of these free resources, the artists that are the originators of the music, they may have certain restrictions on the licensing. So you want to make sure that you follow through and follow up with any kind of restrictions they put. Maybe some of the music, especially on the YouTube Audio Library, I see songs that are specifically for YouTube projects, or you have to refer back to the creator of the music, or you have to reference them in your show notes or something along those lines. So it's absolutely critical that we give back to these artists however they see fit for their creations. They create some great resources for us, some great songs for us, and they deserve to get paid for it. So those resources are at your disposal. Jump in there, find the music that fits your show, make sure that it fits the mood, fits the theme, and it's something that you're going to want to hear each and every time you go to record that podcast. And keep in mind, too, that it's something you're going to want your listeners to want to hear. When they hear that song kick on, when they hear that intro music come in, are they excited to hear another episode, or are they going to go skip 15 seconds, and try to jump past that? So keep that in mind when you're designing your intro. Get something that's catchy, get something that fits your theme and your podcast, and then move forward from there.
Absolutely. And I do listen to a few podcasts, or have listened to a few podcasts where I do just that. Like the intro music, maybe they love it, but it absolutely annoys me. So I just skip over it. To each their own, but that's okay.
Keep in mind, too, you're not going to please everybody. So some people are going to skip your intro music. And that's, honestly, you bring up a valid point, Karen. Some of these podcasts that I hear, they have long intros, minute-long, 90-second long intros. Tone that thing back a little bit, give it about 15, 20, 25 seconds at the longest, and then get into the content. Yes. Our attention span these days are being trained to be very, very short. And the quicker we can get in there and the quicker we can start delivering value with our podcasts, the more attentive our audience is going to be.
Think of music for a 2-year-old. That's just the easiest way. 4-year-old, maybe. Or
a 49-year-old with squirrel syndrome.
There you go. Squirrel. So the branding that you use with your music and the cover art goes across to your image. And I've had a couple people ask me, do I need to go out and get professional pics done, a headshot? Do I need to do a photo session? And the answer is no, you don't have to. You can literally start where you are have someone take a great pic. With our phones these days, they take such amazing photos. Be really intentional. So if you're doing a gardening show, you want to do a picture in a garden, probably. If you're doing a show about women, you want to maybe have it in an environment that is approachable, warm, welcoming for women. Maybe lots of pinks and soft colors and pastels and fuzzy stuff. Or if it's trying to attract high level, high ticket clients, maybe it needs to be an upscale luxury type environment. So just think about who is your audience. If it's a gaming show, you want to be, in a gamer background, like Larry's in right now. Like that would attract
My
someone
show's for entrepreneurs. Sorry.
It's just, we all send off a different energy. My office is more business. My coaching office, Larry's is that podcast, trendy, fun, get your energy up environment. So it's just, what is your show about? Make sure that you're matching the brand and the energy with your photo. And so that's what you can use. Take a bunch of pictures in a bunch of different ways. Think about some ads that you might want to do, or not ads, but social media promotional pictures. And if it's about cooking, make sure you do some pictures in the kitchen. If it's about ministry, make sure you're around people that, just be intentional. The main thing is the intent. We can talk to this more, be really strategic in our mastermind. But for now, just think about the intent behind your photos. It doesn't have to be super expensive. It can be as easy as a photo with a camera. Just think about the lighting. If it's outside, think about, what environment you want to have it in. Are there shadows across your face? And if all else fails, there are amazing editing tools. There's a editing tool out there called Facetune that you can use for your videos and your phone. I just want to tell you, not everybody is as pretty as they appear on social media. They edit. Even if it's a video, you can edit those now, y'all. I did not know, but I've learned. And this is not edited. This is the real deal, but you can edit a photo, you can edit a video, and it's Facetune, Facetune. It's an app on Apple. I'm assuming you can get it on Android too, but it's not free, but it's pretty reasonable for taking high or editing the feel, the energy, the colors. People that do the sparkles and stuff, that's not all on Canva. They actually do that on the photo with Facetune. It's an amazing, amazing resource. So you don't have to get professional photos yet. Don't go out and spend a ton of money. Just start where you are. But here's another resource. And this afternoon, we're going to be, we'll do it tomorrow, sorry. Getting ready to send out the social media promo kit from Canva. So if you're looking at how to promote your social media or your podcast on social media, I'm going to give you, and I'll be sharing it with the winner from everybody that shows up today, a template. It's a set of 10 photos, 10 templates that you can insert your photo into. All you have to do is change the background of your colors and it's done for you. So I'll be sharing that with you. You will have to have a Canva account. You don't have to have the pro image, but you will have to have a Canva account for me to share that with you. But if you're wanting to do this, you're going to have that account set up. You're probably going to want to use it. Get the free version to start out and just learn. But we have that as a giveaway. Tomorrow we'll draw at noon with the same little wheel and get to have the universe pick who gets to receive that. But if not, just create one template. You can use it over and over, change out your pictures, and that's how you can promote your podcast on social media. In our mastermind, I wanted to take a moment and just share this because we have 11 minutes left, Larry, and I can't believe this has already gone by.
It's gone.
Yeah. It has literally evaporated, and I love the interaction. Lauren has been amazing, and Cheryl and Jackie, so many posts in the chat, but Lauren just said, I'm sick of seeing women over 40 with no wrinkles. Sorry, had to say it. Sorry, not sorry. I agree with you. And that's why the world needs you, right? Not because you have wrinkles, but because you're real. And women people want to connect with someone who's real. I mess up, I say, I jumble over my words, but you will always know where I stand. And this is it. This is the real deal. I care big, I love big. And that's why this whole week is free, is because I didn't have someone to help me. So I went out and made it for y'all. This is my rock mover moment. And so I'm sharing this with the world. I brought on Larry to fill in the gaps where his amazing skill set and experience offset my weaknesses. And I have just been blown away by the amount of love that you have poured into this group, Larry. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that the mastermind is going to be this, but tenfold, because we are just spending so much time pouring into that content, because this is just scratching the surface of what I know y'all can accomplish. We want you to get your feet wet. We want you to see if this is for you. Is this really what you want to do? And if it is, and you want to do it at a bigger level and scale, I just want you to know that we have your back, and we've got a plan for you. We've got so much in store, and that's all coming down the road. But I just want you to keep thinking about it. And I'm not trying to push it on you, but I want you to know that help is on the way. Whenever you're ready for it, there is a plan and a system and a process in place, and you have a place in that mastermind. As someone that's showing up here, you get first pick. We're only taking a few people because we really want to serve well. We want to do it well, and we both have other lives and kids and families, and we can't do it all, but we can do all of it for you inside that little container and that little format. So just know that that's coming down the road. So we have a call to action tonight, Larry. What are we going to have them do tonight? So yesterday we wanted them to name their podcast, get an idea of the format. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you left a pause there, so I was going to jump in. It's my chance to talk. I'm going to see if I love to talk.
Breathe too long. I pause.
Stop breathing so often.
The pregnant pause.
No, I was going to say that, if you have named your podcast, I would love to see the name of your podcast in the group. So do me a favor. Go ahead in the group right now, write down the name of your podcast so we can see exactly what you're creating, where you're going, what the direction is that you're taking. Show us that name, put it out there on display for everybody to take in, and we can lift you up and support you. And if you have any questions about the name, we can kind of guide you along that process as well.
Love that. I think that's such a great idea. You can put it in the chat right now, or if you're watching this on replay, just put your name out there, and go ahead and put like #name or my name is, so we know for sure that that's what you're doing, just in case if it's something that isn't completely obvious. But Elizabeth just said hers is the EC way. Her name is Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. The C is her middle initial or her maiden name, I believe. So I love that everybody's showing up here, and I love that you're getting value out of this. That just absolutely is why we're here. And our next steps, say we asked you to name your podcast and then choose your topic. So what area, what topic, what objective in that Apple podcast world, or Apple podcast topics, subjects, right? Sorry.
Categories is, I think, the technical term that you're looking for.
Categories,
There
yes. Which category are you going to choose? What are your top 3? Larry challenged you to come up with 3. So what are the top 3 categories? And then today, we also asked you to start practicing in the group, and I don't think I saw anybody pop up. Did you see any?
I don't think I saw any new videos pop up. No, we had some that were done yesterday before we went live, but I didn't see anybody follow through with the challenge that we laid down last night. So I would love to see that take place as well.
Absolutely. So it's not too late. You can do that anytime. Pop in the group and just upload a video of, this is what I'm doing with my podcast. This is my name. This is the area. Lauren said she did, so I'm going to go back
Oh, wow. I'll have to
Oh,
see
she
that.
did it
Yeah.
minutes before 6. Maybe she did it tonight.
Oh, there
So
you go. She got it just under the radar. Way to get in there, Lord. Good job.
she slid in
I was going to
and
say, because I put myself on blast out there, folks. You know, you got the old Local Rico out there from old Lair from back about 1988. So if
I
I put myself out there, come on, put yourself out there too.
I love it. I saw we had a bunch of comments about the Uncle Rico picture, so I think it was a big hit. I think you're bringing back the Uncle Rico. So so the practicing your video, just getting on air, practicing saying your stuff, and then coming up with a name, coming up with your category. So today we want you to make some decisions on this note sheet in your workbook about your equipment. What equipment are you going to start with? Go ahead and nail that down, make that decision, commit to it so you can get going. We had a couple questions about the name of the 2 mics that you offered. Can you go ahead and say those
Cool.
again?
Yeah, this one that I'm actually that just walked across the screen there is the Audio Technica. It's just audio, AUDIO, Technica, TECHNICA,
Mm-hmm.
and the model is the ATR 2100, the
A like
ATR
Adam.
2100. I'm sorry.
A like Adam, ATR.
Yes, A like Adam. I don't know call signs, but T like tomato and R like Roberts.
Alpha Thomas Robert.
There you go. Okay, if that's it, then by all means, that's the official call signs right there. ATR 2100X. Now, the other one that's a little bit cheaper, but same functionality, great mic, is the Samsun, SAMSUN, Samsun Q2U. That's the model number, is the Q2U. Check that one out, man. It's a great. Both of them are great mics. So whichever one you prefer, but see what you can do there on Amazon. They're awesome.
So if you're planning on joining us in the mastermind, we put a link at the bottom of the PDF. So if you have the active PDF, there's a link at on the very last page where we talk about the mastermind. You can actually link over to the mastermind information, and you will see that those that join us get a mastermind podcast kit or a media and audio kit, because you're actually going to get a camera, you're actually going to get a microphone, a pop filter, and a boom arm. So if you're thinking about joining us, that's a $300 savings right there. So we're picking some great equipment. It's reasonable, but we felt like if you're making an investment in us, we're going to give an investment back in for you so you can start off right. So just a little tip, that is a part of the mastermind. But tonight, go ahead and choose your equipment, make that commitment, decide your format, and create your cover art. So go ahead and sign up for that free Canva. Jump on and play with the pictures and decide how you're going to show up. What is your brand going to be? Is your color turquoise? Is it red? Is it black? Is it white? How are you going to show up? Because yesterday you should have done some research and seen what was out there. What is your, not competition, but what is your market doing? Are they all light greens and real pastel colors? So do you want to show up red so you stand out? We hope that the strategy there helped you by getting out there in your category and seeing what the other podcasts are. So today, go ahead and make those commitments. Begin to create your cover art. Begin to decide on that format. Am I going to show up once a week? Am I going to show up twice a week? Am I going to do a serial? Am I going to do episodes? Like, how am I going to do this? Am I going to do interview? Or is it just my voice? Where am I starting and where am I going? I'm going to do my voice for a while maybe, and then in a month down the road, I'm going to start adding in guests. Great place to start. Not saying you have to do it that way, but just giving you an idea of what you could begin with and choose from. What is the name of the camera photo editing software, please?
Facetune, isn't that what it was?
Are you talking about for the iPhone camera? It was Facetune, Facetune. And then for the video, it's Facetune Video. I hope that was the answer. We didn't talk about the timing of a podcast, and you have the best answer for this, Larry. They're asking, how long should your podcast be?
Well, this was asked 2 weeks ago. I was in Nashville at Podcast Movement, and one of the premier voices in the industry, someone asked him that question, and he said, "You know what? It should be shorter than the last one." And that's cool and all, but it still doesn't give us a whole lot of direction. So when it comes to the length of a podcast episode, it really depends on how long it takes you to provide the value that you bring to your audience, and then not a second longer. So get your message out, get your point across, provide that value in the way that you provide it in your own unique way, and then that's as long as it needs to be. Now, again, we go back to the shorter attention span, so we may even want to start looking at maybe a shorter podcast. My episodes, they range anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes in length, but I don't like to go beyond that 45, and I really try to keep it closer to about a half hour.
Right.
But even shorter is totally acceptable. I mean, some podcasts have just a few minutes, but they get their point across, they get that value delivered, and that's what their audience gets used to receiving. And so really, again, it just depends on the length that it takes for you to provide that value.
Absolutely. So there isn't one right answer. I would say there's some wrong answers. You don't want it to be several hours long, or probably even an hour.
But Karen, Joe Rogan goes for like 4 hours at a time.
Again, Joe Rogan is not our standard for everything.
Oh, okay.
But have you seen Joe Rogan's first episode?
Oh, yeah, it was a train wreck.
So there's hope. There's hope for all of us.
Exactly.
We can build up to a 4-hour radio show that shows up on a podcast, and people show up and listen. There's always hope. But for now, let's start with something that's manageable, that fits in our life. If we planned on 15 to 30 minutes, I would say that is probably a great place to start, to give you those boundaries, right? To stay out of the ditch. You don't want to not talk long enough that they don't get to know you, but you also don't want to talk so long that you run out of things to say. So if you aimed for 15 to 30 minutes up front, especially as a solo, that's a great target. Would you say that that's fair enough, Larry?
I think so. And you're going to see 15 minutes, especially if it's a solo podcast. Man, that's a long time.
Like 15 hours some days. But when you have a point and you're passionate, it also can so fly by.
Sure.
So call to action tonight: cover art, choose your equipment, choose your format, make some decisions, write them down, put them in writing, put a commitment. And we want you to go ahead and set an intentional launch date, because that gives you a day that you're going to aim for. If you haven't done that already, set your launch date. Maybe that's this Saturday, the final day of our challenge. Maybe that's 2 weeks from now, or maybe you want to join the mastermind and you want to have somebody else launch it for you. Whatever that is, whatever feels right. There's pages at the back, things that I can do, things that I need help with. Use the notes in your book to begin processing these thoughts and processing all of this, so that you make these decisions and you have a plan to succeed, a plan that will fit in your life, and a plan that's duplicatable and sustainable, so that you can consistently show up and become known as that podcast, and become known in your lane as an expert and known on the airwaves. So we can't wait to see you do that. Larry, any parting wisdom for us before we go? We're 4 minutes over.
I know we're already over, so I don't want to keep them any longer than we absolutely have to, but please, by all means, take that action, take those first few steps, invest in your equipment, invest in the time it takes to do your cover art, and determine your colors, determine your brand, determine who you want to reach. All of that is so critical to having a successful podcast launch, and we're going to be here with you every step of the way. Sorry we went over tonight. We just have so much to share. We can't help it. We have so much to share, and I hope you'll join us again tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, right here in the group. And until then, please post your videos, post the name of your shows, and feel free to reach out anytime.
We will do the drawing tomorrow at noon Central Time, so be watching for that, for the winner of the Canva templates. And we will see you tomorrow night. We're going to start talking about topics, show notes, recording challenges, scheduling your podcast, and guests. So you don't want to miss it. We also have some special information, more details coming up for you. And it's just going to be another powerhouse night. So thanks for showing up. We'll see you tomorrow night. and help you launch your podcast in 5 easy steps. You got this.